And that's how jazz was created. Good morning, afternoon, evening, all peoples, lovers, haters, fighters, all corners of the multiverse. Good to see you, good to be. It's your boy Dave Dilly out here on the Vibe Union podcast with Rhath and Jason. Perfect. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional custodians of this land. I'd like to pay respects to the elders, past, present, future. This land was never ceded. Territory control. Colonial meltdown. My name is Dilly Dave.
Off it.
I am your hopefully beloved MC. This is the 9th episode of the Vibe Union podcast.
Ooh.
We're out here at Rhath's place. We're not going to give you his address yet.
Go on.
We will do it later.
Give my
though.
address.
It's very. He's got a very open source mentality when it comes to being social and having the people over. So thank you for hosting us. In a way.
No bloody worries. I love to have people around. I love having my own space now.
Yeah, we can actually have people around.
I was bottled up in a tiny little bedroom for 7 months.
Yeah.
And now I've got 3 rooms. Three whole rooms.
And just as many bottles.
Far more.
Far more bottles.
Yeah, drinking has increased a little bit now that I have friends in the real world once more.
It's to scale though, more rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Tell them I live at that.
It's all about bottles per room scale. Very important. Yeah. I mean, that's why we're drinking now publicly on camera. We're comfortable with it now. It's so second nature to us that
I think just for YouTube, this is non-alcoholic grape juice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mine's offensively unalcoholic passion fruit drink.
It's got ice cream and.
What are you drinking, Dilly? Because it looks delicious.
It's great. You should know what I'm drinking because you gave it to me. But we're talking about Moondog variety out here, a splice of heaven. And for those people who are aware of the splice flavoring history, it's about that lime and pine, a really strong combo of the lime and pine with a little bit of cream. That is that's the splice of heaven solution. And it's going down a treat. This one's a 1.7. A little bit of a hitter, a little bit of a hard hitter. But I'm sure I'll be able to maintain a reasonable amount of consciousness throughout this podcast.
Did you know Moondog has a bit of a theme park almost? A theme park disguised as it's more like a brewery / bar disguised as a theme park. But they got themselves a lagoon and pinball machines and all kinds of stuff.
Locally here?
Yeah, in Melbourne town.
Yeah.
I like how you started off with they have a lagoon.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, I'm fucking going to go there.
It's the main thing because they've also got giant signs everywhere saying don't get in the lagoon. And clearly someone got in the lagoon and they had to put some signs up.
But now I want to go in the lagoon.
There's nothing that makes me want to get in the lagoon more than being told not to get in the lagoon.
It's really funny.
I don't think I've ever said lagoon that much in my life.
The name of my car...
Be real.
You gotta
get
be
in there. Get real in there.
It's quite funny because my car's name is the Blue Lagoon. It used to be called the Handbag, but I wasn't too comfortable with that for obvious reasons. It's a light blue ladies crossroad vehicle.
Cars have no genders.
I would argue otherwise, especially with this one. You could call it the bitch box. Handbag, but I've settled with the Blue Lagoon.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to let everyone out there know who's listening that if you haven't actually subscribed to this podcast, you are missing out on a real routine hit or fix of content that could actually enhance your life. Remember, on all platforms we are available. Except for the dating ones. I think a lot of us do have girlfriends or partners.
I still maintain a couple of profiles though, just to be safe.
Ryan likes to have an eye on the scene, what's happening. He's quite curious.
Just for research purposes only.
We browse together, me and my girlfriend. Yes. We browse together, just as you said, it's research just to know.
Got to keep up with trends. Got to keep up what's going on, what people are doing.
I guess it's a good check of standard. What the standard is out there. How messed up do other people look compared to yourself? And if you're looking a little less messed up, then you're on the right track.
It is a good ego hit.
Yeah.
to jump on a dating
It's
site.
like, I'm terrible, but not that terrible. Like,
It's so good. It's a shame that you're only. I guess we would only really do it to the opposite gender, though. We wouldn't be looking at like other guys being like, "Oh God."
Oh no! I've spent a little bit of time looking at guys,
seeing what other guys have been doing.
Purely for comedic purposes.
for content,
Like
for
this
podcasts.
one. To find-
Like
to-
this specific one.
I was, it might have been on another podcast I was recording. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But looking at what is the state of how do guys talk on these sites, and it is atrocious. It is awful.
I can only imagine. In all honesty, my track record isn't all clean up on Tinder, so I acknowledge, some relatively atrocious behavior. I'm glad that I came out of it with a beautiful girlfriend. But yeah, I mean, it does lend. It does allow for people to be a bit. Oh my god!
It's just like the rest of the internet. It's anonymous.
Actually, it's not quite.
Dating websites are probably way less anonymous because you got you got your mug on there, and you got your general location.
Yeah, you can link all your social stuff on there.
Yeah, true.
I guess
No,
it's lower risk.
but you can't.
I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah, you can get to Instagram from. I know Bumble. You can get to Instagram from there, which is kind of scary.
That was one of the angles, or one of the reasonings, justifications I had for using Tinder, was to get more numbers to Instagram, because I was struggling on Instagram for a while, so, and still am, obviously. But it was a technique or strategy that I incorporated.
That's great.
Did it work?
Yeah, well, I would say I got at least 20 to 30 new followers through Tinder from that period.
So that might already be the answer, but my question then is, what is the weirdest way you've gained a bunch of followers, and would that have to be it?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably Tinder. What's another? I guess it's hard to find weird ways to.
Gunpoint.
Yeah. Nice. You've tried that out?
That was a bit misguided, and it didn't work.
Because you shot them?
No.
Before they started?
I can neither confirm nor deny the actions that took place after they did not want to follow me on Instagram.
I feel like if you did get them to follow you, they're not going to be engaging fans, though. So they're really actually going to drive down your numbers.
All I'm saying is they're missing out.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you how they're missing out or why they are.
But they certainly are.
God.
Is this where we all get cancelled tonight? Is that, well?
I came into
we
it
can do a lot.
hoping that I get cancelled.
I want my Mondays back. I want my Monday recording slots back.
I'm sick of feeling obliged to create content.
We didn't want the podcast to get to double figures, so we went out with a bang.
We noticed that
so
we've got 100 views on the videos, and we freaked out. We're like, no, we can't have this getting out.
We don't want to fly too close to the sun already,
I did record a podcast for a full year that never got over 17 views in one video.
Wow.
And
but always got 17 views?
It was pretty consistent. I rewatched it several times each episode.
Okay.
It was
from different accounts, or yeah.
But it was a blast, actually.
Podcasts are great. I think it's the ultimate platform of communication and entertainment. I think it serves everyone. You can be an individual with mild or loose interests around something. You could be a fanatic. You could be an extremist, and from anyone's perspective, you can really carry out whatever mission objectives you have through a podcast. If you're a business, small, medium to large, doesn't matter. It's a really good way to reach your people.
I always saw that tip. I don't know why I was looking at like what is good strategy for small businesses. I think it was in relation to starting, like, be it a small record label or what have you. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was a big one. I was like, I'll start a podcast. But the examples they gave were usually like, oh, you're a small printing company? Start a podcast. I don't get that. What do you do? What do you do with that?
Okay, so I guess the idea is it falls under the umbrella of generating clients, of it's marketing. It's like a marketing tool from that level. So it's like, okay, how do you get your business in front of people, right? People are engaging and consuming a lot of content. Podcasts are pretty big at the moment. It's not like the biggest thing, and not everyone's listening to them, but it can be a precise way to get in front of people, but not always like a small business starting their own podcast, but like somebody from that business getting onto a bigger podcast as part of like an interview is probably like a cool approach.
Okay, that's true. Actually, there is. I was looking at maybe it was Adobe can't remember. It was something along those lines, Adobe or Black Magic, I think maybe it was, who post Isotope. It was Isotope who posts tons of blog posts about. I don't know if they do a podcast, but they do loads of blog posts about audio production. Great audio production tips. Yeah. And at the end, they're like, "Hey, by the way, if you want to do this, guess who makes all these plugins that you desperately need, and they all cost hundreds of dollars, baby."
That's how you do it. Reel them in.
But genuinely good content. So I guess it feels a little seedy because I feel like I can't fully trust it. I'm like, yes, okay, you're recommending this plugin because it does exactly this job, and that sounds great. But also, of course, you're going to say that that's your plugin.
They win your trust through giving you free shit. You know?
Yeah.
That's how they like initially create some kind of value, because you're like, oh, you gave me those tips, you helped me out. Maybe I'll help you out by dropping $100 on this plugin.
I mean, that's the rapper model as well. Give them free tracks and it's like, hey, $100 for a t-shirt ain't too bad. This is pretty good money spent.
I think that's a very good point. You know, if you're if you're an artist, I guess these days, in a way, you're a content creator because you have to give away a whole lot of stuff. Music video. I mean, nobody's paying for music videos. Like no audience members paying for music videos. But that's probably one of the most expensive parts of production or having a agency, whatever, record label. Yeah, so I guess it's interesting to know that there's things like podcasts or music videos where there's like money that goes into it and maybe not money generated from it, but there's like this connection or funnel created through it.
So here's a question then for both of you. Where do you spend the most money on music outside of subscribing to Spotify?
I think Jason and my answer is going to be the same, but I'll let you take it away.
Jason.
Can you go first? Because I don't know what my answer is.
I spend zero money on music.
Oh, yeah. No, zero.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to spend more, but I don't know. First of all, I don't know what to spend it on.
Yeah.
And second of all, I need that money to spend it on.
I mean, this would be my answer as well. I don't spend any money on music.
Right.
But we're all trying to, make a living off our art in some capacity.
But you're saying, are you talking about like through the lens of us consuming music?
Yes,
or
consuming music. Not as artists, because that's a whole other thing. But that's the thing. I think if you can understand. So like, there's lots of things that I see that I'm supposed to do. I think I'm supposed to do in terms of marketing my music.
Right.
But I know I don't consume that from the artists that I like.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of a weird mentality to be in, because I'm like, well, I know I'm supposed to do it, and for certain artists it works, but like I'm not following underground rappers like, let's say, A$AP Rock. I don't see him putting up a bunch of material on his Instagram stories and like, oh, I'm so up to date with all of his stuff. Like
his marketing team is though.
Is he putting up stuff on his?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I like to pretend that I know a lot of things.
If you're at a point where you've got a marketing team, then you're sort of pretty well sorted already. I'm good now. I have someone to outsource all the other stuff for me. So
right.
Okay, well then, where if you had more disposable income, would you put your money? Because like merch, I have zero interest in buying merch.
Yeah, me neither. And unless I've gone to a live event because I'm purely in love with that artist, or I've gone to a live event and this other like supporting act has blown me away, and I'm like, I am so in this fucking moment, and I'm actually loaded up with money that I'm not spending on drugs or anything, so I'm going to buy a top. A fucking $50 top or whatever, and then maybe that's how it happens, but that might only happen once a year.
Yeah, and do you buy it more as like a memento of that particular night?
I don't buy it because it's a good value top.
Yeah.
It maybe as a memento of the night, but probably if I really like the artist act, it's a support. It's like, this is how I can support you.
Yeah.
I think that's more of why people do it. It's I like this person. I don't think I've ever bought merch from a musician or something.
You heard it here first. So remember, never buy any of Jason's merch.
Oh no, buy mine. Gotta dust off that pistol.
Get a couple more subscribers.
Subscribe to my OnlyFans and
So I've been thinking then, because like I think I have bought a few CDs back in the day.
I have, but I feel like the CD buying days are over, and you're not
100%.
spending anywhere. You're not spending more than $10 on any lump of music online ever.
No.
What was your first CD you bought? Do you remember?
Green Day, International Super Hits.
What about you?
Mine was either Five or Backstreet Boys. I forget which album.
Interesting.
Actually, I think they were both singles.
Excellent choice, though.
Thank you.
Mine was the single by Sean Paul.
Yeah.
Was it Shake That?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know
Brilliant.
why. I don't know why I bought it. That was my first.
It really resonated with you.
That's
I
great.
I forgot that, and then I forgot that when I asked the question, and then I was like, "Well, I have to answer this too, don't I?"
But I love that I love looking back on that kind of stuff and like thinking, because I don't listen to Green Day, never listen to Green Day anymore. But I do look back and go like, oh, well, that's still so deeply rooted in my music. Like I've still got this angsty, fuck capitalism kind of mentality that's also totally vague, just like Green Day, just like Muse, just like any of those bands I listen to. They're like, fuck the system, man. They can't stop us. And it's like, we never specifically say
What system,
what we're talking about.
It is
People
always
vague.
very ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's just like accessible to anyone who's got a rebellious streak, which is like every teenager. But I still fucking love all of that. Muse, I think, is a great example. They're a powerful band, and like I guess maybe some of their tracks are less ambiguous and more, precise in their meaning or whatever. But the overall sound and energy is.
I love their sound. Like the first 4 albums, I love their sound, love the energy. The lyrics, I truly despise.
Yeah, fair enough.
I find Matt Bellamy so but he's vague about it, but he's so on the nose about it.
Yeah.
About like, I don't know. But then at the same time, he's obviously such a sci-fi fan, so it's like it's all clearly supposed to be a bit soapy, a bit cheesy, a bit. It is drama. He's almost writing
Right.
operas, but with guitars.
Yeah, and potentially it's not true to life, therefore it may not hit home in that way. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But then, I don't know, maybe if you do write a little bit vague and ambiguous, then depending on the way it is received, it can take a life on its own. It becomes a chant.
But then that's the thing. People, if you do it vague, if you say something in a vague way, then people can resonate it within, can resonate with it in so many different ways. Which to me sometimes is like that's a cop out. But then I'm like, well, that's kind of genius. You just say, was it Coldplay when their only good song?
Hey, they have got
Coldplay Suck.
They got 2 good.
You heard it here
albums.
first. Coldplay Suck.
It's not first, Jason. People have heard that many times.
Heard it here seventh. It was just, wasn't it just the name, just a song?
Yellow? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
Yellow.
It was all yellow.
I forgot what I talk about most times.
Miss Mountain Bound.
They have 2 good albums. I'll say it.
We have beef now. Now, wasn't it just a song and they're like, we don't know what it's about?
I'm sure.
I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
I'm sure Coldplay has written many songs that mean
all
nothing.
their songs.
Okay, so when someone writes a political song that's really straightforward, like I'm talking about this, and and put facts into the song, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you tune out? Because I tune out completely.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, if it's put together well in terms of like how it's, structured, composed, and there's like, it overall sounds good. I think, you should be clear about, I'm not standing on this in terms of, but I think with that, it works if it's kind of clear what they're talking about and they're backing up, like they're like supporting their claims.
Yeah.
I think is good. But thinking back to the way that I write, a lot of my tracks super ambiguous and vague, very like accessible from different angles or ways of looking at it. And I mean, sometimes that's absolutely fine.
Then you have someone like Run the Jewels. They're very, very political, but it's
I was about to say
on the nose, but not on the nose, but it is.
It's like pop political in a way.
But it's just done so well when...
I was going to say, I retract my previous statement because I love Run the Jewels so much. And Kendrick Lamar, or what have you. Even Rage Against the Machine.
I was just about... That's the other band I was thinking of,
I don't know. There's something that feels like certain tracks, and there's usually like... perhaps you'll see it pushed by perhaps the ABC or Triple J or something like that. Like I've seen a lot of it in Australia at times, but I can't think of a single example, which is unfortunate for my argument. But I think if it feels too clean, it really, I don't know.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to describe the sound of it.
If it feels like they're talking about nothing, it's like, what if the question is, or the response is, what are you talking about? I think that's a problem.
Well, are you saying like someone just like, I don't like politician A, and then just go, I don't like him because of this, and then list off it's very, it wouldn't happen in a song. But is that kind of what you mean? Like, it's just it's just very straight.
I'm not sure.
I'm trying to dig you out of the hole that you.
And I appreciate that, but I think
I don't do this often. Deep. This is my nice thing I've done all year. So
I think there's a certain
ruined it.
There's a certain pure emotion and more of a world encompassing worldview to a Run the Jewels song. Like they'll make certain points about individual topics, but it feels like it was a song first.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing.
Yeah, song first,
and then
meaning
topic.
Yeah,
and then
but you got to have the nuggets in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at least 3. At least 3 nuggets in a track, and then it can be wrapped in whatever else. But
it's like if a local council approaches a youth hip hop group and says, "Hey, we need a song about this particular political
cleaning
topic."
up rubbish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's so many political songs out there that edge on that kind of thing. It sounds like almost like Kid Bop. It's a level of cheese to me.
Right, it's forced.
Yeah.
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 Which is I listen to a lot of political music. I love political music. I don't know what I was talking about.
I've never tried to write anything particularly political though. I would say maybe one track that slightly alludes to it, but it has other layers to it as well.
So you said you think you write quite ambiguous.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say vague, because I think you have lots of really clear punchlines and lots of little nuggets in there.
Right.
But I definitely think that I still listen to a lot of my material and go, I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. Even 6 months ago, I still can't decipher what the meaning was behind a song.
Yeah, because it's complexly introspective.
Yeah, it's very introspective, and it's lyrical, but I think lyrical to a fault. And I was going to relate this back to because I used to be a cartoonist, and I did that for about 3 years. I was doing these kind of psychedelic, pessimistic, nihilistic cartoons every day on Instagram, and because I put that deadline out that I was like, I'm going to do this every single day. I'm going to put out a new cartoon every single day. And so there was plenty of days like, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do today, so I'll just put out this and see what hits. And usually those are the days that I got the biggest reaction, because people will be like, man, that's so clever, the way you did that and how this all connects. And like, nah, didn't mean any of it. I liked the idea and the image, but you're extrapolating a whole bunch of meaning that wasn't there intentionally. But I actually really liked that. I really enjoyed giving them a trigger and letting them see where that takes them. And I like that with words as well. But depending on your subject matter, depending on what you're trying to do, I don't know. I find it really hard now to go the other way and to write really, really clear. That's why I really admire like what MQ does. In fact, yourself as well, who I always know what you're talking about when you're rapping.
I just can't. I just don't know how to do it any other way. I mean, it's pure talent, and I will have no one say anything otherwise.
Pure genius, I would say.
Well, that's it. And that's why I try to every now and then when I make or write for music and rap and stuff, I try to make it less realistic and try to make add a bit more metaphors and stuff, something different. But it's sometimes I can do it. Sometimes I'm like, no, that's terrible. Don't put that in. No one needs to listen to this nursery rhyme, kids bop, bullshit. So I was like, oh well,
But you come from a very different world originally, because you come from
Mars, yes, from
the poetry scene in Melbourne. And from the I haven't been to many, maybe only maybe 10 or so. But I found them very, very very clear, very much like a little lens into their life, and it was very, very obvious what they were talking about, what they were describing.
Yeah, I think it's the poetry scene is very much different to the rap hip hop scene. Yeah, it's very much a lot more personal, and describing something that happened or how you feel about something, but doing it in a theatrical way or a theatrical or a creative way, and use of some people use a lot of metaphors. I'm one of the fewer people that rhymes everything, which some say isn't poetry, but some people are wrong.
Rhyming isn't poetry.
Rhyming isn't poetry.
I've heard the opposite. That's so funny.
Yeah, I think like I've been told by some people that they know people, part of certain Melbourne spoken word things, and they more of the older generation. They go, no, it needs poetry doesn't rhyme, and I'm like, well, that's the way I do it. But yeah, the poetry, obviously.
So that's not really open to interpretation for some people, apparently.
No,
it is the most open to interpretation art form on the planet. In
but
my
it's
opinion.
not.
Yeah,
if you go, as I said, if you go more frequently, a lot of the stuff it's not on the nose, but it's because when I say like, oh, I write and perform my own poetry, like, oh, like from 22 Jump Street, all that slam poetry stuff, and I'm like, it's not really that anymore. It's a lot. There's no bongos. They're still clicking, obviously.
There's a lot of clicking. I love that.
Oh, it annoys me. No. I'm like, tell me I'm good afterwards, not during, please.
Yeah.
It ruins my flow.
I mean, that's the point of it. Like, the point is to not be...
Yeah, yes.
But I find it takes you out of it more.
Yeah, well,
because it's so absurd now.
It's because the way I do it is not obviously because everyone's seen me perform. Obviously, no, but when I do it, because obviously it's rhyming stuff, I get a bit of a rhythm, and then this clicking happens. I'm like, can you just please don't? But yeah, no, I think it's a lot more. Yeah, poetry stuff is you really know what they're talking about. And some people are very ambiguous, and then therefore you can read into it a lot more. I've heard a lot of gibberish, and people go, "That's amazing." I go, "Well, I don't actually know what they were meaning by that." But
is that because they're overly supportive? Like like I've been to a few spoken word nights.
Yeah. Oh, they're very. Yeah, it's a very supportive community for sure.
It's like there's very little room for error unless you're a particular kind of person doing a particular error.
I mean, I may have done a poetry diss track on stage.
Wait, dissing poetry?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That would have been received great.
I got top 3 the night.
Yes.
All you beatniks or rednecks, I beat you like beetroot. You will not
I'm
get...
just trying to think of a line. But I can't remember.
I think, if nothing else, poets are self-deprecating.
Yeah, no.
No, I think they're self-serving.
No, they are. Poets are selfish human beings.
Yeah.
But at the night, I did my diss track thing, whatever. Yeah. Diss track.
At the poetry night.
And then someone sort of, all the poets go up on stage, and he just sort of whispers like, "Oh, that was really brave to do that." And I was like, "Oh, no one likes me anyway, so I might as well just continue rolling."
I'm used to being hated.
Yeah, so, but I've sort of changed the angle of what I do now.
That's so funny.
Blowing off a bit of steam, I think.
It sounds like a hard environment to collaborate in. I guess that's probably not really a focus so much.
It's kind of hard to collaborate on a poem because it's sort of... I mean, you could have... I've seen, like, if you look at YouTube and find, like, obviously a lot of America, they used to have a bit more emphasis on international and, like, competitions, and there would be people go in tandem. They'd say one or two lines, and the next person, and they'd bounce off each other. But it'd be sort of the same topic and meaning the same thing. So it's either a shared experience or or something political or whatever. So they're kind of. But yeah, no, it's usually a solo act. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Okay, so I guess for me, I'm trying to contrast the two experiences. One being going to like a spoken word night or poetry night versus going to like a open mic rap hip hop night, right? So I get this feeling that both environments can be quite supportive, but I mean, you could argue that both are like chasing a little bit of attention.
Oh yeah. Well, I said I don't think I've ever been to a open hip hop.
Oh really?
I don't. I said I don't know. Well, so what? I've only been in Melbourne 2 years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
and the last year's been a write-off.
And then I never really thought about that scene.
Yeah.
And then I think both could be really supportive and also really intimidating. Because like if I was to go wherever they do open mic, well, actually, they do spoken word and hip hop at Bar Uso, don't they?
Not hip hop, but an open
Just
mic.
one way
Okay,
because there's like seven of us.
I was just trying to put.
You could do.
Okay.
You can.
Well, there's
do
two different. I think if I was to perform a rap or a song somewhere, I would be far more nervous than I would be doing a poem.
Interesting.
Because the scene, like, I don't know, like I know more of how the poetry scene is, and I know like half my stuff. I know what people like and sometimes don't like.
Right.
But for me to like, I've written a rap song or whatever, and I want to perform it, I would be far more nervous because I don't know what I'm doing. So.
I actually find the same because the way I started performing in Melbourne was through poetry as well, and it was a 3 to 4 week period of me going to these open mic nights, sweating profusely, thinking like, oh, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do it this night, I'm going to do it, and then I never did. Finally got up and did it, and then I did that for maybe 2 months before I met Dilly, and once I found the hip hop scene, I kind of just fucked off from the poetry scene, which I want to go back to, but
hopefully next year.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as there's open mic nights again,
as soon as things can open and there's people are there. Yeah.
I will also say a little bit of a side note from what I'm talking about right now, but I think I've learnt more about humanity in general from open mic night, from poetry open mic nights than I have anywhere else. Definitely. Especially, I mean, I don't know, I've not been to other places, but Melbourne really shows off its multiculturalism. And it's just people from all walks of life come and share these really personal experiences, and I've learnt so much. Amazing experience, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing because, like, with music, you can hide behind the beat a little bit, but at the same time, I think like if you're not feeling it, then it feels like you're not cheating, but just like it feels like I don't know. I feel more on the spot when I'm not really into it with music, but with the poetry. There's nothing to hide behind. It's almost
better. But it's almost better to be blasé, I think, if you're delivering poetry. Not that I'm any kind of expert or anything, but I feel like even if you do it kind of shittily and you're reading it off the page of the book, people will still be like,
you got to own it.
You got to own it. Yeah, right. And I guess like it's just you and people notice it, but I think,
Well, I remember one of the last poetry things I went to before everything was closed. One guy was reading off his phone, and in the middle he was like, "Fuck you, Dave! Stop sending me texts." And then just went on with his and he got like top 3 for the night
because he's like in the moment.
And then like
right?
what he's doing, and he's like, "Fuck you! I'm getting texts. I can't read my poem." And he only got 3 minutes anyway. So he's like, and then everyone's like, "I was like, stop being funny and charismatic."
It's hard to
you hate those kind of people.
He's like I can't. Okay, someone send me a text when I'm up there too, please.
Yeah.
Like they send me text too. Everyone laugh. Like it's sort of a. But I think it's a poetry.
That's actually a really good point, though, is that there's a lot more humour at the poetry nights. When we're doing it at Bar Usu and it's the open mic nights and we're all getting up and rapping, there's a lot more comedy, I think, between us. We're always making fun and poking jokes at each other. But at poetry night, that's just rampant, I think. There is... which I think is such a natural thing anyway, because they deal with the most serious topics you can possibly deal with in art, I reckon. And then to get up there next and not joke around a little bit, it just feels like such a somber mood to the night.
Oh, well, I think the difference with talking about that is open mic is different to, say, competition poetry. Because if you go competition poetry, there is no humour. At all, but no, because it's.
I'd hate that.
but it's really good because you have people that. No, what is awkward is there's people that go up and they either it's their first time because it's open to anyone first 12 14 people, you know, and they draw names out of a hat. And but people that are nervous, they'll go up and I've done it before. I've forgotten lines, and you go, oh shit, and then everyone starts clicking. I'm like, it's not helping, but thank you for the support.
Yeah.
But you know, like you're freaking out, and then but these people, and then if it's competition, it's judged, and I've seen people get a 4. And I've never seen them come back because you're just like, well, screw this. But yeah, I think open mics you get a lot more comedy. I mean, when I was in a competition, the best Slam-A-Lam Ding Dong is what the biggest one. Yeah. So I moved to Melbourne and I found about this. Did one night, got top 3, and I got to the finals in the next 2 months later. And I said I didn't get good scores in the final. I got was like second last, but my last line was this is when I was still doing more comedy. I was just like I was like, even when I'm staring at the Grim Reaper, he'll be bent over yelling at me to go deeper. That was my final line of the poem. And I mean, the rightful people won. But I said I had fun. It was good. But yes, I've changed a bit now. But competition-wise, not that humorous. But open mics is interesting because you could either get a horrible night of just people that are trying new stuff or something, or you get a bunch of people that are really, really good, and it's interesting. I'm sure that most open mics for anything really, you don't know what you're gonna get.
As I said, I was sweating bullets when I went to these open mics. But at the same time as like when I've gone to a few open mic comedy nights, and I find those are the ones. Actually, the reason I found the confidence to get up on stage, and this, I don't know if this sounds like fool myself, but it's rather going to open mic nights for hip hop made me able to get up on stage, not because it felt like super super open. It was more just like, these guys can do it, so I can do it. Like I think you're setting the bar so high for yourself because it's like I'm comparing myself to Kendrick and Run the Jewels and play what have you. And then going to an open mic night at hip hop, you see some atrocious acts. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, it can't be that bad. Same with poetry. Same with comedy. But that sounds like I'm kind of shitting on people who are bad at it. But at the same time, just seeing those people supported in those scenarios as well is such an amazing sight.
Most people like, we see what you were trying to do, but you didn't hit the mark.
I went to an open comedy mic and like some guy, young dude, got up and just did some stuff that was quite racist. And you just felt the whole room was go, Can
you just not?
Nah, man. Yeah. But good on you for getting up there,
You're just like, I don't want to encourage this, but yeah.
Did you go up to him and you're like, you know what? That wasn't too bad.
You had some really good points.
I think it was just the delivery.
You just got to slow down a little bit so they know exactly what you're saying,
We want to hear you. You got something really important to say.
It sounded a bit ambiguous what you're saying.
Cut to the point. Cut to the cheese.
But I think comedy would be the hardest because you need a response from the audience straight away after a joke.
It's very nuanced trying to make people laugh if you're forcing it. I think a lot of comedy, what is funny is like natural in the moment, almost effortless. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. That's probably why these poetry nights and hip hop nights probably get a few more laughs because that wasn't what they were there to do. Yeah. So like they're doing a thing like, I'm putting myself out there as a poet, as a rapper, what have you, and then I'll throw this away in the moment, and it's so spontaneous because you're just kind of a bit nervous and you throw away this line as a bit of a joke, and everyone is ready for that because they didn't come there to see that. And then in some comedy nights you can just, there's nothing worse than seeing a new person throw out a line like, oh, that didn't land. Yeah,
if it's a difficult audience, they're just like, they're kind of making the person who's doing the stand-up work for it. They're like, we're not going to give it to you easy. You better be pretty funny. We came here to laugh, and if you don't fucking hit the mark, you're not going to get
anything from us. Whereas at least if you're doing hip-hop, you got to beat, and you can just close your eyes, finish your song, and just be like, just close your eyes, get through it, and then just be like, I'm going to keep closing my eyes, walk off stage,
Yeah.
walk out and leave, and then whatever. Same as poetry, you just get it done, and then people still. Whereas comedy is that you need that response.
Yeah, it's a very.
This is where
particular
nearly
response.
30-year-old man's voice breaks for the first time. I'm finally hitting puberty, everyone.
Tell me how it goes, because I want to know what that experience is like.
His beard is quite deceptive, even though it's full volume.
It's fake.
I love the mask impression that they leave in the beards. You know, they
Yes,
kind of
yes.
like puff out the sides, and they
I
like,
have to when I got off the train, I was just like,
you gotta fluff it a bit.
I gotta fluff it. Yeah. At least I need a fluffer, but that's
no, you gotta fluff it while having a fluffer.
yeah.
You know?
So what was that?
we definitely weren't talking about pornography before.
No,
this.
no, we'd never sink to those levels.
No, I've never sunk anywhere near that.
I've probably spent days delving in.
Doing
Research
Wallowing in it.
purposes, obviously.
Absolutely. Just like my Tinder profiles.
Yeah, exactly. You need to know what people are into. No,
We never did sex. We never did sex ed at school, so it's the only way I can get some kind of idea of what's expected.
You never
or
had
what's
sex
to
ed?
happen. No.
I had
Too much?
I had no. Hilariously minimal.
Yeah.
Because I went to a
boys school?
No. No. I went to a Christian school in Hobart, and they didn't want
They
to.
don't do that there.
Only with relatives. Hi, Mum.
My uncle
Don't
told
say
me.
hello to your family after saying that.
Hi, Mum. Shout outs.
I'll be there for Christmas.
Oh, God. Best year I've ever had.
Stuff the turkey.
Anyway,
I feel like we're swimming in less than ambiguity now.
Yeah, all this talk about telling artists to be less on the nose.
family's important over the holidays. No, but when I was in grade 10 is when they're like, okay, we'll teach them about sex. They're forced to. So we got.
They force you. We'll teach them about sex.
Well, the thing
Get
is,
them in the same
we got
room.
given a video to watch from the 80s. I'm not even joking. The girl in it, the woman in it, was called Sheila.
I mean, I don't think sex has probably changed that
No,
much
but
since.
Was the other guy Paul Hogan?
I don't know. Yes, you call that a knife?
Call it my dick.
No, but the thing is, the best thing about it. So we're watching this video, and the point is that they're at a party, they're drinking whatever, and then they go off and they have sex, and so then right. We don't. That's not the part you see. It's implied. They have the intercourse, and that's how the kids say it. Is it? Anyway, so we're watching it. We're watching it, and then so it's like jump to 3 days later, and they're driving down the back end of nowhere in the middle of the bush. Yeah. He goes, "Oi, mate, pull over. I got to take a piss." And so he's behind this tree, and he's like, "Oh." And he's like, what's wrong, mate? This is the accents they have. And they're like, feels like I'm pissing razor blades. I was like, you had sex with Sheila the other night, didn't you? He's like, yeah, she must have given me the clap. And we're like, what is this video? And they're like,
Feels like it was like some old-fashioned slut shaming as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, so it was just like-
immediately,
Right.
that's Sheila.
yeah, and then
Bloody Sheila.
they turned the video off and went, don't do that. And then the other thing is they gave a bunch of 15, 16-year-olds like a plastic banana that unsheathed into a penis, and they were just like, they're going to be mature about this. Let's chuck them condoms and give them an unsheathed penis. That's my rap name there. No, actually, it shouldn't be.
Can you say that in a Shakespearean tone?
Unsheathed penis. Oh God.
Yeah, I think
brilliant.
the Australian accent kind of butchered that a little bit.
Yeah.
I was still where I wanted it to be.
That's what. No. That's going to be. Don't clip that anyway. Don't.
Unsheathed
don't
penis.
worry.
Unsheath your penis.
We have 100 reviews, but we don't have enough fans to actually start clipping us yet.
Don't encourage anyone.
Please do though.
Yeah, so that was our sex ed was, and then a year later, all the boys and girls got separated, and we got taught that watching porn would result in all of us raping and murdering women because one person did it, and then all the girls got taught about teenage pregnancy.
So the boys got taught about murder and rape, and the girls got taught
because
about...
if you
You
start
can say
with-
that about anything because all men watch porn and all men breathe. So you can say if you breathe air, you also will probably
Well,
end up with
they were citing one article for one guy that was like, oh, I started watching softcore porn and then it wasn't enough, so he amped it up, and then he was like, I was watching,
We don't have to talk
Yeah.
about what it was.
well, I don't know, they didn't say. He's like, he
there
amped
is
it up,
still
the
a
bad
line.
stuff.
and then he was like, I need to do this in person, and then he did it, and then they were like, that's going to happen to you. And to this day, I think everyone I went to school with is out, not in prison.
Wow.
I think.
That's a pretty good success
That's
rate.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes. So
And you didn't spend too much time in prison, did you? Not too much. A
no,
little bit though.
low walls.
What are
easy to
those
get
numbers
over.
on your arm? Because they look like
What are those numbers on your arm?
He's
didn't spend too much
He's
time in
actually
there.
got numbers on his arm. that
No,
look
I
like
know.
No, no, there.
Other arm.
That one. That one.
Those ones.
I've got numbers on both arms.
Oh, okay.
That's their coordinates.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Of the first murder that you committed?
No, my first time. Yep. It's always good to remember your first time. That's when they didn't follow me on Instagram. You
That's
get
actually how they found the body. That was the only way they found it.
if you don't follow me on Instagram, you get tattooed on my arm instead. Moving on. I've been on this once and I've incriminated myself.
No, I
already.
think you've
This
done
is your-
absolutely great.
This is your second one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it is, yeah.
First one in person.
God, oh, yeah, first one. You guys are a bad influence on me.
It feels different. I'm glad we're a bad influence on you. I always want to unlock the shadow within Jason is my intention.
Used to made my voice break.
We got you through puberty.
I'm only 13 years
Oh
old.
my I'm just a boy.
Not yet.
Well-
no.
Not yet a man.
That was no Britney Spears. It was
not. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
girl, not yet
a woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think making Jason a man, I think is a great place to leave it.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's a closer.
It used to be about a boy, now it's about a man.
I don't like this.
I don't like this. We
Podcast.
just killed this podcast.
sitting between you two. It's like, he's now a man. I'm like, I don't like this.
Well, if you feel uncomfortable
happens.
after such statements, then I think that's on you, mate.
Maybe. I'm finding out more about myself now.
That's what we're all about here at
Yeah.
Vibe Union. We're
Exactly.
broaden everyone's horizons.
Yeah, broadening, or about growing potential, about grooming.
I can't wait for this camera to turn off. Who knows what debauchery is going to happen now?
Boy.
All right, I'm going to get into damage control mode. I'm going to wrap this up. It's been real. I believe this is the 9th episode of the Vibe Union podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Thank you, Jason, for both joining and incriminating yourself. on
No
quite a
worries.
high level.
It's been nice knowing everyone.
You really killed it.
I will be doing the next podcast from a cell somewhere.
Yeah. A bit
prison cell.
remotely. Yes.
Yes.
Quite sumptuous that you think you're coming back after this.
Well, I mean,
Well, we did
This is
beg
true.
you on.
100%. This is my favorite episode so far.
Yeah.
Easily.
Oh God, living on the edge. So yeah, you can catch us on Spotify, YouTube. We do the weekly podcasts. We do have 20 Vibrations, aka tracks out. We've got a mixtape that's going to pop off next year early. Over New Year's, we're going to be doing a gig at Renaissance Festival.
I'm sure everyone's going to anyway.
Yep.
Everyone's already going on to it. It's bigger than Laneway. You'll find your way there, I'm sure. Bring your family because it's a family festival.
Oh, it sounds like my type of thing then if it's full for family. So
But it's been real. Jason, any last words you'd like to deliver to the audience? Would you like to apologize for anything that you've said, or you want to stand strong?
probably everything, but no, it's fine. Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Perfect. And what is your OnlyFans? Out of curiosity.
It's Ginger Nut.
That's too good, dude. I guess you've been sitting on that for most of your life.
OnlyFans is quite new, isn't it? So
Yeah, but your ginger nut is
yes,
not.
Thanks, everybody. This has been
Goodbye.
Vibe Union Podcast. What a fun time. I gotta subscribe, like, comment.
sorry, Mum.
Sorry, Mum. Bye.
Bye.